Good afternoon, one and all. Welcome to the third session for the AICT Atal Academy sponsored Faculty Development Program. This session is conducted by Professor Dr. Azizi Menacheri. Professor Menacheri serves as a Vice President at QMPG Industrial Certifications and Services and Leadership Coach at QMPG Learner-Made Training Academy. He has got 9 years of his experience working with IRCA and Chartered Quality Institute, London for IQMS Sai Global, a US $0.6 billion professional service company, as an accredited lead tutor in design and delivery of training programs. Well, he has conducted more than 1,200 third and second party audits in more than 650 organizations and trained more than 350 organizations during the period 2003 to 2021. He is trained at Harvard Graduate School of Education and on educational leadership and is an alumnus of IIM Ahmedabad. He holds an earned PhD in emotional intelligence and managerial effectiveness and trained in both applied and clinical psychology, philosophy, management, marketing, and HR. He has served the boards of a few companies during 2009 and 2018 and possesses 24 years of experience in industry, academics, and has served as a professor, adjunct professor, and dean at different management schools. He is a renowned author and has written 9 books, 1 book chapter, 26 articles, and 1 monograph. I welcome you, sir, for your presentation. Thank you.
Hello, sir. So, good morning to all. So, we will start with today's session. It's a continuation of yesterday's session. I welcome Dr. Azizi and Dr. Kisali ma'am to the Faculty Development Program organized by National College of Pharmacy. Sir, over to you.
So, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
Can you see my screen now?
Sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you see?
Yes.
Yeah. So, ideas to creation, thinking to action, imagination to experimentation, brought to creativity, retrospective. So, this is what we are going to deal today. So, I'll take just 5 minutes to recap everything. We all have understood that as per the international tech standard, that is education, IWA International Work Group Agreement that was signed by more than 70 member countries across the world. They have decided there are 4 basic processes in education. That is, one is education design, second is curriculum development, next one is education delivery, and assessment of learning. There are basically 4 sub-processes in the core process of education. Whenever we discuss about pre and post-COVID period, major changes are there for education delivery and assessment of learning, where there is a shift from offline mode to online mode are there, and perhaps online mode may continue if COVID is not going to end up. So there are possibilities of digital disruption if COVID-19 is going to continue. So there would be changes, especially in the area of education delivery as well as assessment of learning. Maybe curriculum development as well as education design may almost remain same, where a validation is required in both education delivery as well as assessment of learning. That is the basic need. Now, what is the relationship differences between verification and validation is that, verification is, I'm just repeating, it's just verifying whether the course completion or schedule or the syllabus or completion of activities all are being verified. Okay, yes, it's almost like a ticking everything. But validation is whether the specific intended use of design, whether the teaching and learning effectiveness as per the design are there, related to the 6 dimensions of Bloom's taxonomy, commencing from remembering to creation, that is to make things happen. Well, so we again discussed yesterday about different type of risks in education called as cognitive risks, as very specially online teaching, that is risk in memory, comprehension, understanding, concept formation, then risk in reasoning, analysis, and judgment, as well as risk in creation. Again, discuss about the design requirements that may be implemented by a university or a CBSE or an ICSE curriculum, that also need to be integrated, especially the formative assessment requirements. And our national education policy also require a formative assessment need to be undertaken rather than summative assessment or coaching culture. So that is as per our new education policy. Then we discuss assessment, that is one of the foremost part of formative assessment, that assess it's a longitudinal way of capturing the data of students regarding their overt behavior on various parameters. So that is formative assessment we discussed. Finally, we got into the direct mode. There are a lot of differences, around 12 differences we already discussed yesterday. And we also came about a revalidation strategy for each online mode, and we discussed about chat box brainstorming, chat box energizing, then making them speak. Then we also discussed about breakout room formation, so physical movement techniques. All those we discussed. Again, we discussed about using mind mapping techniques. Again, how to use a quality plan that we are going to discuss during the coming slides. And again, we also discussed about how in future, summative assessment may be undertaken from homes using an artificial intelligence based software called as ProctorU. You can Google about that. So there are a lot of artificial intelligence based summative assessment methodologies are coming out. We all discussed about that. And we also discussed about 3 learner approaches, where a student is being considered as a customer or a consumer, and student as a raw material being transformed to a finished product, as well as a student as a learner. Each a co-learner learn the student, and together we create a learning environment. See, this has evolved in our Indian culture. Even in Ayurveda, when you go to an Acharya or a Ayurveda physician, based on your darshana, sparshana, and shravana, based on your three balancing your kapha, pitta, and all those things, considering your weight, he will design a medicinal formulation for you within only for you, not as batches. So this is a concept of identifying a particular person and designing a unique patient experience for him. So we follow that in India. When British education system came to India, and when they started processing students as batches, everything shifted, and now we follow a British system, a colonial system of education. And if you just look back to our history of education, Mahatma Gandhi, then Rabindranath Tagore, as well as Sri Aurobindo, all of them tried to implement a new system of learner-centric, student-centric, education. And the very base of all this is considering student as a learner, teacher as a co-learner, and together create and design a learning environment. With this, I am stopping my recaps. So, okay. Now, if you look at how can we identify an individual learning requirement of a student, even though we are processing them as batches, how we can do that? If you look at towards the left hand side, okay, we have defined the broad objective of education as to enhance the power of expression. How? See, there are different process stages, and there are different expected requirements, right, from remembering to creation. So even though we all talk about creation, practice based, etc., more than 70% of the marks are being assigned for rote memory or repetition. Okay, so now we have to focus on the lower domains first. Towards the end of the class, we have to ask questions to test the comprehension, concept for formation, and verbal expression. So towards the end of the class, the method is ask questions. The expected outcome is, okay, I have handled a class for 1 hour, whether my students has understood it or not. So how? You are testing comprehension, concept formation, and verbal expression, and you are validating your that particular day's class whether the concept has been understood by the student. So you can have, how you will do it, you can have a random sampling. Maybe you have 50 students in your class. You select students in a random way, select 5 students, ask questions to 5 students, close it. The next day of the class, when they come for the next class, start with questioning techniques. Again, check the short-term memory, verbal expression, and comprehension. Again, take a random sample, 5. And next week of the class, after 7 days, again you have to ask questions, what has been taught during the previous week. Again, random sampling, you record it. When you provide assignments, whether formative, summative, or ongoing assignments, you check their ability to analyze, interpret relationship between 2 variables, reasoning, and written expression, and have a record. When you give them as projects, field studies, or lab, again you are verifying and validating their creative thinking, critical thinking, problem solving, and written expression, tacit knowledge, that is experiential knowledge. Have a data analysis for that. And at work, that is not in the scope, and in life. Okay, so expression is written expression as well as verbal expression, as well as in life how we respond to different situations. I mean, I faced a challenge in my life. I committed suicide. That means in life I am not at all expressing myself in the right way, because I failed. When I faced with a problem, I committed suicide. So I'm not able to express myself in my life in the right way. So now I'm going to take a 1 month data. This is how we do continuous formative assessment. So it's a 1 month data of the real-time data of few students that Dr. Giselle has made it. So this is the first. See, dates are there towards the left hand side: 3, 10, 20, then 6, 10, 20, 7, 10, 8, 10, 9, 10. So dates are there. FA anecdotal. So now we will go to next one. See, this is abbreviation FA ANAC. That means formative assessment using anecdotal assessment. Then FADA, formative assessment using daily assessment, that is ongoing. Then FACA, formative assessment using continuous assessment. What is 1? Code for conformance. What is 2? Code for non-conformance. Then total DA, that is total for daily assessment. Then total ANE, total for anecdotal assessment. Then total CA, total for continuing assessment. So these are the abbreviations that you could see over here. So FA ANAC, FADA, then FACA, then FADA, total DA, total FA ANAC, and FACA. So there are 24 students who are perfect, where the formation is going perfect. Therefore, we need not intervene at all. They are perfect students. Now, see, every question, every day that has been answered, they have got a total marks of 100. Observe this. Now go to this slide where they have not at all. These are next category that they require slight improvement. See, the above students need improvement and are categorized as potential students for perfect formation. They are considered to be potential students for perfect formation. Now you are getting a graph. Now you can put it as a graph, that analysis of data. This is next stage. And third stage is, see, the above students need improvement and categorized as above average students and need little push to come up. Now we are categorizing students from a 1 month data. Hope you are able to follow me. We are categorizing students from a 1 month data, but students don't know about it, because if students comes to know about it, that becomes labeling. Be very careful. If students comes to know about how we are formatively assessing them, that unconsciously becomes a labeling. So don't do that. It is only for our data, internal data. Okay. So then comes the average students that need improvement, critical non-conformance that need urgent intervention. Color code red. Color code blue is average students that need improvement. Color code red, critical non-conformance that need urgent intervention. Color code dark blue, non-conformance and intervention required. And color code yellow, need intervention. Look at this. So we just require 1 month careful observation of our students based on our continuous formative assessment plan to judge whether a student is push, whether we need to confront certain students or not. Just 1 month is required to assess or understand our student. Now we are co-learning the student. This is a system that we developed. That is why I told this is pending for a process patent. Okay, we applied in UK. So just 1 month, if you take classes and if you are focused, if you are committed to whatever you teach, okay, you just require 1 month data to assess your students and how intervention can be made so that they could improve or not. This is a real-time data Dr. Giselle did in her classes when she was handling classes. So we only designed it, and testing has been done at a first stage, and I am happy to share this with you so that you can test in your schools and you can see a sea of change. I'm very serious about it. So we always, NBA and NAC are good systems, but that focus at a macro level, and we need micro intervention at an individual teacher level, and that we need to demonstrate commitment for that. This is why I coined this workshop as ideas to action. So we need to act. And our education policy very clearly talks about, continuous formative assessment. And now how we can put it into practice, implement it in our real life as a professor or as a teacher, or as a trainer. Now, if it is a long duration program, LDP, this is not applicable for 1 week programs. Basically, this is applicable for long duration programs, at least for 2 semesters, okay, or 3 trimesters. So within 1 month, you will get a clear idea about your each and individual student, and you have co-learned them. You have co-learned the student, each student, and you know the strength of weakness. You made the anecdotal assessment. You continuing assessment. You made a daily assessment, and you made everything, and within 1 month where my student will be after 2 years. Now you are a psychologist. Every teacher need to be a psychologist, because that is the reality. Now you can make any type of interventions to bring them up, even though we are processing them as batches. Now we have a choice to intervene by accepting and connecting them. First, we need to demonstrate acceptance and connection, emotional connection. Then only we can influence any person. This is a basic reality. So emotionally connect, accept them, and demonstrate your approachability, communicate with them, work with them, understand their problems, support them, be an enabler. If you are able to practice this, the whole thought process, the ideas we can put it into action. Please understand. So this is, if we can practice at an individual level, every teacher has to take initiative. So NBA won't enhance this. ENAC won't enhance this. Any EFQM methods or anything, nothing is going to enhance this. But if I take an initiative as a teacher, and if I am committed to teaching and to serve my students, we will live truly to our purpose. I'm sure about that. So this is what I prefer to tell about continuous formative assessment and a quality plan for formative assessment. Now I'll repeat this once again so that you will understand it. In fact, a continuous formative assessment is done considering our risks in education, such as this has been designed in considering this. See, based on this. Now we have risks in education, such as risk in memory, short term and long term, risk in comprehension and understanding, risk in transformation, risk in analysis, interpretation, reasoning, relationship, and judgment, and risk in creation, that is to make things happen. These are the risks. On the left hand side, you can see we are relating this with Bloom's taxonomy. So fine, I hope this is clear for you. Now I want you to check, go and observe this evaluation model. Okay, now we are evaluating right from their short-term and long-term memory. Okay, first we check their short-term memory, then we check the long-term memory, we check comprehension, concept formation, verbal expression. For everything we have a record, daily record, and we are not doing for everyone on a particular day. We spend just 5 minutes. We ask 5 questions to 5 students. If we have 100 students in our class, we ask 10 questions, and over a period of 1 month we can ask questions to everyone, and we can have a record. So every day before commencing the class, take a commitment to oneself that I will ask questions to 5 students, and I will be non-judgmental. See, I'll tell you, there is a professor at IIM Ahmedabad. His name is Dr. Arnab Laha. He is a professor respected by every student in IIM Ahmedabad. He always used to get the best professor award. He's a product of Indian Statistical Institute. He also taught me. So while coming to class, after coming to class, he will open his laptop. In Excel, he will take a random number. There is a method to take random numbers in Excel. He will take a random number, and we were all senior professors, or post 35 with at least 10 years of experience from across India, and even from Bangladesh, and also professors from Africa was there. Around 40 professors were there. He used to ask questions to us, and he will record it. Please understand, I am not telling a joke. These systems are being practiced in one of the best mecca of management education, IIM Ahmedabad. So if they can, such great professors can do that. Why don't we? So are we ready to take responsibility for our students, not to process as them batches, to understand the learning requirement, unique learning requirement of every student, and to provide a solution and to act as enablers. This will change the entire system. And if I take a decision today, and if you take a decision today, it's going to change the entire system. Our children will blossom, bloom up, and contribute to nation and humanity, as we all believe in Vasudhaiva Kudumbam, right? So let us take a pledge today so that we can practice this. We can practice this continuous formative plan. We can practice this continuous formative assessment plan, and we will implement it for ourselves. Now, what we'll do? So this is an internal pattern. After doing this, we will design a remedial learning environment via online mode. This is being planned for science, and now the model I've been given is for science subjects as well as math subjects, right? So we can categorize a student, categorize our student after 1 month, 2 month class from a basic, intermediate, advanced, or very advanced. But don't share this to students so that unconscious labeling will happen. Now benchmark them on different competency level, then you can implement different type of remedial design, the remedial learning environment for them, like bridge courses, problem solving in classrooms. Maybe you can help design a peer group, and among the peer group they can have problem solving via online, and corrective action also may be implemented. So basic level, clarify doubts in WhatsApp or classes, clarify doubts, redo the problems, clarify doubts, peer learning, or redo the problems, clarify doubts, peer learning, redo the problems. So you categorize into different competency level and design different remedial environment via online mode, because that is going to the possibility, next possibility. Please understand. So I hope you understood how we can also design a remedial learning by implementing a continuous formative assessment during the first month itself. And please understand, later your intervention or my intervention should enable them, empower them to study more and develop interest in the subject. Then only what will happen? Change would happen. Then only we are co-learning the learner, and we are trying to implement a remedial session. Now let's go to the next level of ideas to creation, thinking to action, imagination to experimentation, and road to creativity, retrospective. Please understand. See, why we continuously think? There are different levels. Obsessive thinking. You would have heard about obsessive compulsive disorder, diagnostics and statistical manual 5 discuss about that. See, continuous thought processes are coming due to anxiety, depression, and fear. Maybe conscious to many and unconscious to some other people. So continuously when thought process comes, we don't get up early in the morning. We keep on thinking, but we never do action. This has happened to Arjuna also. I'm talking about Arjuna in Mahabharata. So challenges and goal achievements. When we have faced challenges as well as when we have goal achievements, please understand what happens. What happened to Arjuna? Conflict. Then keep the bow and arrow down. Don't fight like a warrior. So we also face different type of challenges. We also have a lot of goals, and we have anxiety, depression, and fear. And rather we are in the future or in the past. We are disconnected. We are not connected from the now, from the present moment. Please understand. So this is the reason for obsessive and compulsive thinking. And maybe if you keep on thinking for half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, whenever we walk, we are thinking. Whenever we take food, we are thinking. Whenever we take bath, we are thinking. So continuously obsessive thought process are coming, and then comes compulsion in action. Okay, so I am not going for that clinical aspects of that, but why we have obsessive thought process is because we think too much. What is the reason for that? We are thinking about our future. What will happen to Corona? Okay, what will happen to our future? What will happen to my goal? What will happen to our goal achievement? So we are always in the future, and we are also in the past. We always in the past because we always learn from our past. There is something called as, there are three things we have to be aware about. The first one is learning, unlearning, de-learning, and relearning. There are 4 stages. First one is learning. We learn. We de-learn. Okay, what de-learning? See, after some time we understand that whatever learned is obsolete, and it requires asks us to de-learn something. So we have an whatever you learned is obsolete, and we have to forgive it, so that then only I can learn something new. This attitude is called de-learning attitude. De-learning attitude. So we need to have a de-learning attitude. We need to understand that I have to forget and forgive a lot of things, whatever I learned. Maybe it is drug abuse, maybe it is alcohol abuse. Everything is a learned behavior. Please understand. Alcohol abuse is a learned behavior. Drug abuse is a learned behavior. Sometimes we may shout at other. Anger is a learned behavior. So at this point of time, in the present moment, I realize that I have to unlearn it. Okay, that attitude is called as de-learning attitude. So many of us, we even don't think that we have to unlearn many things. Then we don't have a de-learning attitude. Now the challenge is we have to develop a de-learning attitude. Then we have to unlearn it. Then we have to relearn new attitudes, new thought process, new belief systems. So we are in the past. Why? We are in the past because we are not able to unlearn. We are not able to forget and forgive to others. So when we live in the past, we carry the emotions in the past and live in the present with those emotions, and we are not connected in the present. So one of the major challenge is we are not connected here and now. We are not in our reality. We live in our mental or emotional reality called as psychological reality. So we are always thinking obsessive. Whenever I walk, I'm thinking something else. So I'm walking very slow. Whenever I think about a book and I'm writing a book, many distractions comes in between, and I'm not at all able to complete the book fast because thought process, continuous obsessions. Hope you're able to understand. So we are here to live in our experiential reality within the present, away from our mental and emotional realities. So this is the second challenge, why we are not able to connect, why we are not able to do action with intensity. The meaning, see, what I'm telling is action with intensity. That is what is required. Now let us see. You take any religion, whether it is Lord Krishna or Lao Tzu or Lord Buddha or Lord Jesus Christ, whoever, the core essence of excellence is not about living in the past or in the future. It is all about living in the now. Please understand. This is what. Okay. Now, how we can do that? Practice mindfulness techniques. Don't own or possess anything. Don't own or possess anything. You may have 1,000 crores of worth assets with you, but don't possess it. Don't try to hold on with your achievements. I am the CEO of a company. Now I want to hold on to my achievements. I want to sustain and survive as a CEO. Then problems arises. We don't connect with our reality. Do something to the fullest, but have detached involvement. Do something to the fullest. It doesn't mean that you're attached to it with detached involvement. This is how we can enhance intensity in action. So if I or you want to enhance intensity in action, you may be a billionaire, but you don't possess your possessions. You may be a CEO or a chairman of a company, but you don't want to hold on to your achievements. Okay, I am chairman. So what? Next day, I'm ready to step down also if required. So you are not attached to your positions. Now, if we need to understand this, if you do the meta-analysis about the practice, excellence, we can understand in yogic tradition, Vipasana tradition. Then Kabbalah, mindfulness, like American Psychiatric and Psychological Association. Everyone focus on our shifting from our psychological reality to our existential reality. We exist, as Dr. C.C. Macheri, I exist now in this present. Tomorrow, next moment, I may die. Hour. Now I exist. My existence is only through the present moment or the past moment. So we have to unlearn our cognitive monkey mind, and we have to shift to our present. And this is the core essence of action. If you don't shift, we cannot enhance our intensity in action. In fact, we have worked on a book called Essence of Excellence. We have did a thematic analysis of that. We have taken, we have did a meta-analysis of wisdom literatures, myself and Dr. Giselle, and we are on the final stages of publishing a book. Just to mention this is a core essence of excellence, thematic analysis, what Lord Krishna has told, what Jesus Christ has told, what Lord Buddha has told, what Lao Tzu has told, what Dr. Sigmund Freud has told. Childhood traumas, conflicts, and frustrations are the reason for irrational behavior or illness. So he's talking about the past. Now, what is solution? Reconstructive exploration of past and change through insight and permissiveness in the now. This is a solution. What Freud has told. Goal set and right therapist at the self. This is how we solve the problem. So we have analyzed every religion, thought process, almost whatever is available, and we have also taken inputs from Six Sigma, process approach of Six Sigma, where perfection is achieved while focusing on the process, the way. Process capability. There are only 3.3 defects in a million opportunities. There are only 3.3 defects in a million, that is 10 lakhs opportunities. So can you just imagine how many flights are going up and coming down in a day? Considering all flight stations and aerodromes, more than 17 lakhs. One error in a day, you are not going to fly. So what the solution, how we can be experiential is be existential. We all know we exist. We don't breathe. We won't exist. If we don't breathe, we don't exist. See, stop taking breath. We don't exist for more than 1 minute or 3 minutes or 5 minutes. Be aware of your breath. That is the way you can connect to. That is the way you can connect to existence, your existence. For that, then you will have to act to the fullest with a detached involvement, without contention or competition. You are not competing with an external person. No competition, no contention. You will compete only with yourself for excellence. If you reach that warrior type of stage, you will coolly face anyone with a smile on your face. You are not going to contend or compete. You will only compete with myself. I will compete with myself. You will compete with yourself. And you will be fully submitting in your own karma, intensity in action, where you will achieve a level of excellence and sustain it. Because you are acting. You are not thinking. You are acting. This is what Lord Krishna told Arjuna. Do act like a warrior and do your karma. What is your karma? What is your duty? You are a warrior. You have to fight for justice. So you do that. Karmanye vadegare. So as a teacher, my purpose is to understand my student, co-learn my student, understand my student, co-learn my student, and add value to my student. Please understand, in nature, the highest value is to exist and survive. Equity and justice are man-made values. Please understand. How many of you heard about Mimamsa principle of Indian legal thought? A big fish is going and eating a small fish. Where is justice in nature? A lion is going and eating a deer. Where is justice in nature? A deer is running for existence. A rabbit is running for existence. And lion is hunting for existence. Please understand. Now, in nature, the highest value is not equity or justice. It is to exist and survive. But man has made a lot of values called as equity and justice. Good, well, that is the requirement of a society. But we need to understand that there are several levels of existence. To exist, to survive, exist to achieve, exist to grow, exist to sustain, and exist to expand. Please understand. So first we exist to survive, right? We want existence for survival. Please understand. Second, we are existing for achievement. We want to achieve something. And after achievement, we want to grow. And we want to exist to the sustenance. What is that? Now I have become the, Prime Minister of the country. Now I want to sustain as Prime Minister. Now I have become, American President. Now I want to sustain, exist and sustain as American President. I don't want to leave. I want to sustain myself as American President. My 5-year tenure is over. Now I want to continue my next 5 years, and I can do anything for that existence. Now, can we blame anyone? Now, there is something else called as existence for expansion. I exist to expand. What is that? I exist to expand from me to you. I exist to expand from me to every human being. I exist to expand to every species. That is love through love. So if you raise yourself to that level, if you start existing to expand to other species, other human beings, so then your intrinsic action will enhance. Now, first, see, detach from survival need, detach from achievement need, detach from growth need, detach from sustenance need, detach from expansion need. That is the stage where you will go for samadhi. Detach for expansion need. I'm to a level of experience. But we need to understand that there is no meaning in holding on to position after a stage. It depends on your cognitive growth and spiritual growth. Now, the moment you start detaching your survival need, you are free from everything. I'm from survival need. For what? I made what I did. That's enough. So this is a state of or Satchita. In Indian philosophy, it's called I am Chit and I am Ananda. Now, how much time I have more?
Carry on, sir. No problem,
Yeah,
sir.
how much-
Next session is on 11:30, sir. Sure, sir. Definitely,
Okay,
sir.
so I have enough time. I'll demonstrate something, getting into experiential level. Okay, now I'm getting to a slide. How do we teach? How do we teach at an experiential level via online? Now, this was an anger management, how to contain anger, contain our anger. This was a session. We designed a session how to contain anger management sessions via online. On the left hand side, you can see what are the reasons for anger. There are basically, this comes out of research. Okay, there are 4 basic reasons: frustration, anger. Second, Berkowitz CNA model. We will explain what it is. Third, general model of effective aggression. Then next is train theory, and finally pathology of anger. Anger becomes pathological. So, if we need to compare anger theories, yeah. So we will demonstrate something now. Okay. So classic FA hypothesis tells that frustration causes anger. Now Berkowitz CNA model tells us that negative effect causes anger. And there is general model of tells that train theory that next slide. What does it say? Okay. What is and we have aversive and that causes aggression. More unpleasant conditions, greater anger. There are lab and naturalistic studies for that. So the conclusion is it is frustration that causes anger. Second is negative effect, continuous bullying, harassment, negative remarks, emotional aggression trigger anger. Greatest predictor of anger beyond controllability or intentionality. So this is the second. Now, what is general mode of aggression? See, you have a situation here. Situational variable is there, something like frustration, pain, discomfort, and attack. And aggressive cognitions are there. What is a cognition? How we perceive and interpret and evaluate something. So there are hostile thoughts, hostile memories, aggression scripts. Affect anger or hostility. Then physiological and perceived arousal will be there. Adrenaline rush will enhance. Our blood pressure will change. There will be arousal, physiological and arousal. Then there is a primary appraisal. You do a primary appraisal, initial expectation and evaluation, interpret the situation and effect, and project on others. Basically, we always project on others. We don't take responsibility. We project the reason on situation or others. And secondary appraisal, re-examine the situation, coping alternatives, likely consequences about actually what happened, and you have a behavioral choice. This is what is called as general mode of effective aggression. Now, how you can teach via online, I'm going to demonstrate. Now, what is cognitive neo-associating model of anger? See, it talks about associate network links following components together. That means there are feelings, thoughts, and memories within us that initiates or trigger a behavioral reaction, including the facial expressions. It also influences our physiological reactions, such as adrenaline rush from our thighs or from our legs to panic attacks, or even the high arousal of blood pressure, and even jumping and committing suicide. So aggressive cues in a situation. So aviation of one component in a network. It may be in the network. I will show the network like this. This is the network. This is the network. See, sensation, emotion, thoughts, and action. This is the network that they are talking about. So we are continuously standing. We are not able to sit. There is pleasure or pain. That triggers an emotion, whether it is happy, sad, fear, anger, surprise, or disgust. And there is thoughts within us, such as attitude, thoughts, beliefs, values, metacognition. What influences our thoughts is called as metacognition. Okay, we are evaluating our own cognition. It is called as, it is about thinking about thinking. Metacognition means thinking about our own thinking. Okay, whether I'm thinking right or not, am I doing right or not? So this is, I am thinking about my own thinking is called as metacognition. That comes from a third perceptual position. I am thinking, I am observing my own thought process, and I am thinking about it, whether it is right or not. Hey, come on, I shouted at that particular person. Is that it was right? No. Yes, I have to improve. See, I am thinking about my own thinking. So that is metacognition. So there is an interaction from, there is a sensation, I am continuously standing, or there is pleasure or pain. Then there is an emotion, triggered emotion. Then there is a thought. Then comes action. And this is called as what? Yeah. This is called as the network, associative network of fear and anger at the same time. That comes from feelings, thoughts, memories that are past learned behaviors. Okay, this is the cognitive neo-associative model of anger. Now, here what happens is goal obstruction. If there is a problem with goal obstruction, we have a goal and someone is obstructing our path towards that, we get angry. Negative effect, again angry. Initial appraisal of unpleasantness required, again, it is angry. Other cognitive appraisals. So in all the anger, irritation, annoyance, so different intensities of the same emotion, it all produces anger. So now we have understood what it is. This, okay. Now we will go to how we will implement a method. So now we have understood the reason, and there is a solution. And apart from solution, there are other options also. Now, how to technique? See, how do we practice technique so that people come out of anger? The anger has to dissolve in the consciousness in the now. Please understand. The solution. See how we will dissolve our anger. I am continuously reacting to a stimulus, and I am learned to react in such a way for my past 40 years. That learned behavioral pattern is there within me, and next day when I am exposed to the same stimulus, what happens? I go back to the past and unconsciously respond in the present from that learned behavior. Now we have to dissolve it in the now. Please understand, there are different techniques in different psychological domains as well as spiritual domains. Now you can see mindfulness practice is a technique applicable for all. Mindfulness, such as dialectical behavior therapy, mindfulness is a technique accepted by American psychiatric and psychological associations in the West as well as in the East. As we discussed, whichever it is, whether yogic or vipassana or Zen or Taoism or Sufism or Kabbalah or mindfulness, whichever practice you do, if you want to enhance the intensity in your action, intensity in your action, you have to forget about the past and future. You have to come out of your psychological reality to your existential reality in now, and for that only solution is practice mindfulness. Okay, now what we can do, if you or me need to come out of our learned behaviors such as anger, if you or I need to come out of our learned behaviors such as anger, we have to dissolve anger in the now in consciousness. Now, if we need to practice this, I need from each every one of you. We are in our limitations. You can see external voices, but at the same time, you can also see hear my voice. I do believe that, right? I respond in the chat box. So if all of you agree, I will teach you a technique to come out of anger. If you practice it 5 minutes every day, you will not get angry at all. So if you are willing to practice, I will demonstrate how to teach anger management via online. Okay? I need your full approval. Every one of you have to accept that I want to do. I want to practice. Similarly, you can teach everything or anything via online if you have that theoretical concept and technical exposure. There are two things you require. One is if you want to teach a practice-based experiential learning to your colleagues. If you need to teach practice-based experiential learning to your colleagues, you need to have the theoretical inputs as well as you need to have the technique. So I want, there may be some other sounds also. I want first you to sit erect. Let your chin be erect. Let your spine be erect. And observe, close your eyes, observe within. Just observe your breath. Just observe it. Don't breathe. See, dissolving our anger, dissolving our learned behavior only happen in the light of awareness. Okay. Now just observe your breath. Air is coming to you and it's going out. You need not breathe at all. Air knows in, go out. Now you would have observed now, you would have experienced now that you are not breathing. Or breathing has shifted from your chest to abdomen. Your breathing is from your chest to abdomen. This is the first sign of mindfulness. Our breathing will shift from our chest to abdomen. And we will realize that air will come inside. We need not breathe at all. If you observe little children below 1.5 years of old age, you can observe they are breathing from their abdomen, not from their chest. But once we our mental function is and we feel that we are breathing. In fact, we don't need to breathe at all. Reality is that air knows to come in through our nose, get into our nostrils, go to our diaphragm, and air itself knows how to go back. And understand, if we don't breathe for 3 minutes or 4 minutes, we will die. So we also know that our existence is only through breath. If we don't take food for one, we will die. If we don't, our connection to our existence is through breath. Please understand. Now, I'm focusing only on my breath. I'm observing the breath. I'm going to sit idle for 1 minute, just observing the breath, enjoying the silence. 1 minute, 60 seconds. I'm enjoying it. I'm very happy about it. I'm still observing. Now I'm giving a creative visualization technique. I'm giving a creative visualization technique to unlearn anger. About unlearning anger. Try to remember where I means each and every one of us, and from whom I learn anger. Maybe from a neighbor, maybe from a relative, from our own internal parents, maybe from father or mother or brothers or uncle or aunts. We would have learned it from someone, or we would have learned it from society. Identify the person from which we learn the behavior called as anger. Identify the person and go back to that particular stage that made you angry very much in your past. Connect to that stage, maybe to a person, maybe to a situation, and bring that situation to the now in the consciousness. And bring the picture of that person, the situation, when you get angry, maybe when you didn't get food, or someone beaten you up, or when someone abused you, when you got angry, when the negative emotion came in, and bring that picture, emotion to the consciousness in the now, and allow the consciousness to work on and attach and start loving the situation and person. Don't reject the person or situation. Accept it. If possible, if you have hatred, release it. Give it to the consciousness to work on it. Detach. Give it away. Forget and forgive. Now, in the consciousness, in the now, in your mental picture, the person is there, the situation is there, the environment is there, and allow it to dissolve in the now. What will happen when we put something in a frying pan? And consciousness is like frying pan. Sometimes it breaks out. Sometimes it dissolves. And only in consciousness, in the now, any negative feelings or emotions can dissolve. Change the attitude. No one is perfect, and I am also not perfect. So accept people with their own limitations. It doesn't mean that you have to go through the negativity again. You can pull out of it as you prefer. You can also accept negativity. That is your choice. But bring the person situation to the consciousness. Allow the consciousness to work on it. Allow the nerve to work on it. Forget and forgive. Don't be attached to it. So imagine your future. It is Corona time now. I don't know about my job. I don't know about my health. I can achieve the goal. I don't know whether I may die. There are several theories about Corona. I'm anxious. I'm anxious, depressed. I don't know. I'm worried. But that is all not realities. My reality is only the now. This is my reality. Everything else is imagination. So what I can be disciplined in the now. I can be disciplined in the now. Whatever I can do, choices, discipline, enhance techniques of sanitization, foolproof yourself, take preventive actions, foolproof yourself, take responsibility, act fully in the now, so that I can prevent a corona disease. So all possibilities are in front of us. Wherever I'm not going to sit idle thinking of come out of past and breathe gently, release, enjoy the now. Feel free, feel relaxed. And enjoy the now for the next 1 minute. Enjoy the now for the next 1 minute. Okay, let's come back. Let's come back to our program. Gently open our hand, gently message on your eyelids and on your face, or respond in your chat box. If you enjoyed it, I've enjoyed. Respond in your chat box. If you have enjoyed, I've enjoyed it. So it is possible. Thank you for your responses. It's very possible to teach any experiential framework, provided you have the techniques with you. What we need to have is techniques. We need to know about the root cause of the problem, that is anger. Anger has different problem causes. We also need to know techniques how to teach. And now we need to practice something called behavioral self-monitoring. That is, a person who practices it have to behaviorally self-monitor herself or himself every day, that they are practicing it every day. You can come out of anger within 1 month. If you practice this for 1 month, if you're practicing this for 1 month, you can come out of anger. You are free, very speak with a lot of kindness and love. That means you will expand. I already expansion to others is you will expand to your children, you will expand to your husband, you will expand to your learners. You will try to relate with others in all ways and means, and we will realize that there is no I. There is no I, because obviously there is another person. We will consider about others. Okay, now in order to do that, we have to come out of these two. You know, there is no need to be fearful about survival as well as achievement, as well as growth, as well as sustenance. See, no one can sustain it all the time. Even an Olympic medal winner who is the #1 person can only sustain to be a winner for 8 years or 10 years. And an American president only do have 2 terms, 5 years, 2 5-year terms. An American president only do have 2 5-year terms. So once you achieve a particular level, then there is coming down also. You know about Nanarthu Brandhan, who pulls a stone to upside top, and he also comes down, releases it. Life is like this. You know, life is a mix of mountain valley. So we cannot always win, always be leader, #1 person. No, there is a limitation. There is a time where we have to give it to others. Help others come up. Develop leaders. This is a true law of life. So we need to understand that, and we have to detach from all those things so that we are free. Please understand. We need to please understand. Look for the higher purpose. This is how life is a game. You know, but Lord Krishna has told it in many ways. Everyone has told, Leela, it's a game. Leela, enjoy the game. Enjoy the game. So there is a higher purpose for us to live, learn, study, and acquire knowledge or skill and evolve, because the self expands and grows. So it's able to consider our life as a play. There is anxiety, there is no depression. It's a play. I enjoy learning. I forget time while learning. I enjoy learning. I enjoy facing problems. You know, problems are there for everyone. There is no single person in this world without problems, and problems are going to recur. Please understand, in the cycle of growth, problems will definitely recur for everyone. Otherwise, stop growing. If you want to grow, there will be problems. And I have to enjoy solving problems. There is no other way. So my enjoyment comes from learning and gaining knowledge and growth of self. So we have an submission and enjoyment. So the sahana, we consider our attitude slowly shifts. We consider as a problem as a sahana. When we fully submit and surrender, then it becomes aswadhana. So from sahana to samarpana and aswadhana, it's a evolutionary thought process that happens within us, and we enjoy and solving problems. And we are not contenting our competitive. We are living our life, supporting others, please understand, supporting others, loving others, understanding the others, expanding others, understanding their perspective. If life becomes really, a celebration. This is experience. Then we start living in the now, in the connectivity. Our connectivity rooted and we in the present, and that is going endless. We evolve as human beings, and if we can do that, that is the highest thing we can do. And if one of you can enhance your growth, if one of you, there are 72 participants, perhaps as of now there may be really 70 participants without considering myself and my wife. If one among you out of 70 can practice it and grow, I am blessed. I'm thankful to God for giving an opportunity to serve you all. And this is what the object of the program, where we defined it as ideas to creation, thinking to action, imagination to experimentation, wrought to creativity, retrospective. And I take the opportunity to thank the organizers of the program, take the opportunity to thank ACT for giving an opportunity. I take the opportunity to thank Mr. Sijo, because he worked with me as a pharmacist, a senior pharmacist 10 years back. I was heading a company as a director and CEO of a company. So it was a WHO GMP company. So he worked with me. We had a long association, maybe even after I worked with him during 2004-5, and it's almost 16 years. I have not forgotten him. He also has not forgotten me, and he's the connector with KMCT. I thank Mr. Sijo. Thank you so much. And I thank the whole KMCT group again for giving an opportunity. And above all, I thank all 70 participants sitting in front of me, spending your time. I thank God Almighty for giving an opportunity to serve you all. Once again, thank you so much. Love you all. Keep connected, channel. We will keep in touch because once we are related, we are not going to we are not going to disconnect. That is what Sijo Patatil has taught me. Sijo and Melf 15-16 years back, and still we are knitted, closely related. So we will continue our relationship till the end of our life. Thank you so much once again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. There were some comments, sir. Inspiring lecture. Please explain Aswadhana. Someone has asked. Dr. Vrishadhwaj Ashwalin.
Okay. Please explain Aswadhana. See, our awareness gets shifted to the stages. The first one is attention. We become attentive about something, maybe a problem or an opportunity. That is attention. Then becomes contemplation. That is contemplation it is structured concentration, or structured attention. So if we think about COVID, we think about the reasons of COVID, we think about Wuhan, we think about Dr. Fauci. We also may think about whether France and US has contributed to COVID and they outsourced to China to create a virus. We may even again think about whether COVID virus is genetically modified or not, or virus is came from solutions of 19. So different type of this structured concentration. This is contemplation. The third stage are attention, concentration. there are challenges, a lot of challenges, because mind is functioning. Third one is submission. We submit to the work I do. I want to live. I want to submit myself to whatever I do. That will enhance my intensity. Maybe we may in prayer also we are attentive, we are contemplative, and we are we submit. Then we surrender. We are not able to achieve our objective. Then we surrender ourselves. There comes aswadana. We start enjoying the shift from a problem, a challenge or a problem is a problem, to a challenge or a problem to an opportunity. There comes we start enjoying the opportunity. Please understand. There are challenge we consider as a problem as a challenge or a negative as well. At a particular time, we understand that the problem is not negative or a challenge, because unless a small child falls down, he don't learn to walk. 10,000 times or 100 times or 1,000 times she or he falls down, and finally he start walking. So unless and until we fail, we cannot succeed. Both are same, two sides of the same coin. It is advaita, not it is non-dual, not dual. Please understand, the failure and success both are on the same side, both are same sides of, both are the different sides of same coin, but they are one. The moment we understand this is one, our shift, from a problem to an opportunity, and we will start enjoying our problem. This is aswadana, and it comes through 5 stages. Then it becomes meditation. Then life itself, the action itself will become meditation. So there are 5 stages of awareness. One is attention, contemplation, submission, surrender, and meditation. So meditation becomes your every step, every moment becomes meditation in that level. Then life becomes a play. So this is the stage of aswadana. Please understand. This is a state of aswadana where you start enjoying life. So anything else? Any other question?
Yes, sir. It was really. I think no other questions
See,
are
you
there,
can,
sir.
yeah. There are more questions. Let me see my chat box.
Someone is
Okay.
asking for your YouTube channel name.
Yeah, you just type Dr. Assisi Manacheri. My full name is Dr. Assisi, ASSISSI. So then you will connect to my YouTube channel. Type just Dr. You are able to spell ASSIMENACHERY. Yeah, this is my full name. Yeah, I chat from my account. Yeah, Dr. Assisi Manacheri. Dr. Giselle has responded. Dr. ASSI. Just type in YouTube or anywhere, Google it. You will get a lot of connects. There is an author page of mine, Amazon author page. There are 2 YouTube channels. There is a specific YouTube channel for educators. So I leave it to you. You can connect me. You send a message. My around 5,000 members, so you can connect my message. You can collect my number from organizers. Also can share. 9385555. So this is my number. Hope you got my number, right? Okay, 1 second. This is my number. Okay, 9388-444. So you can connect me via WhatsApp or you connect me via Facebook. Already 5,000 members are over, but you can add me. I'm planning to go for a commercial page. So this is what I am. You can send a link request, add you. So this is my email ID f11assissim@ima. This is my email ID. So thank you for the opportunity. Any other doubts?
Any queries from the participants?
Yeah. Funny queries.
Sir, which are the platforms used for evaluation?
Yeah.
Dr.
I already shared it with the Proctor U.
Yes,
I'll show
it's a
slide to
question
you.
from Dr. Tiru
Again.
Chitrampalam.
Dr. Inu Ramala, fine, please see this. Use, are you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, anything else? Does anyone want to conclude? Co-host.
Yes, sir. I was just checking any queries were there. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And first of all, I would like to thank Professor Sijo for introducing you to us. And your session was very much informative and it was very excellent. So all the participants are also having the same opinion. So once again, we congratulate you and we are very grateful to you for delivering such a wonderful lecture.
Thank God and thank you
On
all.
behalf